Hello, my name's Valerie Bernardo. My internship this summer was at Real Diagnostics Lab in Reisterstown. I worked for Team A where we would accession coronavirus samples and prepare them for testing, and then we would send them over to Teams B and C where they would complete the process. The way I ended up with this internship is that before quarantine, I was in contact with a pathologist at a hospital near my house, and when we had to quarantine, I was told that students were no longer able to go into the hospitals. So when that happened, I started applying at any other internship I could find an application for and anything really related to the field. So then came July, and I still didn't really have much. So I had a meeting with Miss Schwartz, and she told me about this internship where she gave me all the contact information I needed and what it was about. So I reached out to Dan, who was my boss there, and he offered me the position right away because he said he was very comfortable accepting any students that were being recommended by Miss Schwartz. And that was a really nice thing to have. It was nice to know that there were other students, other Stevenson students, setting a good example for future potential interns from the same school. So I was very fortunate in that aspect. What I did was around 10:30 every morning, the lab would receive a shipment of samples for Team A. Team A would be the first ones to handle this. We would unbox all of these samples and we would organize them into separate bins with their identification number. Throughout the day, we would take these bins that had 36 samples in them. We would unpack each of the samples and the rec form that it came with. We would verify the name and date of birth on there. We would label the form, the sample, and a new tube with the identification stickers. And these forms would get scanned into the lab information system, and the samples that were now accessioned would be sent over to Team B for the rest of the process. Some challenges that I faced were that I was obviously scared of getting coronavirus, so I didn't want to put myself or my family at risk. But we had all the proper PPE, and as long as I was following the necessary guidelines, I really didn't have much of any worry while I was there. Another challenge that I had was that I'm generally a pretty busy person, so finding time for another job in there was difficult at times. Luckily, it started in the summer for me. So at first it wasn't too bad, but it did move into fall semester for me where I had my internship and classes, and I also have a job. So some days were really long for me, and it wasn't the best time, but I had to realize that it was only for a number of weeks, and at the end of the day, it was really worth it, and it was what I had to do. What I wish I'd known is that at a certain point, it was around my last month there, there was a big decrease in the number of samples that were being sent in every day. So they started cutting a lot of our hours. And after a couple weeks of me having this new reduced schedule, I realized that I wasn't on track to complete my hours anymore. So when this happened, I had to do all these volunteer hours and cram in all this extra work that I wasn't prepared for and wasn't exactly like looking to do because I was already so busy with the schedule that I already had. So had I known that there was a potential for hour reduction in the beginning, I would have started off stronger and I would have done more hours from the beginning instead of literally scheduling my schedule to hit the 240 hours right on time. So I would have done that differently. My advice for future interns is to prepare for the unexpected because of things like this. You never know what could happen. You should always, I guess, try and organize yourself as much as you can and prepare for as much as you can. Also, to start your search early because I thought that I was doing everything at the right time, and obviously the coronavirus happened, and we were in the middle of a pandemic during a lot of our internship search for a lot of us. A big one that I know Miss Schwartz always tells us is to network everywhere. I'm a server at Ruth's Chris, so I have a lot of guests come in and they ask me about school and what I want to do one day. And that's the perfect time for me to tell them that I'm looking for an internship because you never know who could help you or lead you in the right direction. There were plenty of people that were willing to give me information or even their contact information to maybe help me find something. And it was really nice. So it's important to not be afraid to reach out to people who may be able to help you. So that was my internship for the summer. While it wasn't exactly what I pictured myself doing at all, I'm really happy with how everything turned out. And I think it's really cool that I'll be able to say that I worked with the coronavirus during this pandemic, and it's something that I'll be able to do for a really long time. Thank you.